What's up, my peeps? It's Cynthia, aka C-Flow, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to recap and review and give my opinion on Married to Medicine, Season 9, Episode 3, Heavenly Intervention. But first, please subscribe to my little channel and hit that like button on this video. I would greatly appreciate it. So we start off with Quad and Simone meeting at a restaurant. Simone is surprised that Quad was on time. She was there before Simone. And then they show flashbacks of Quad being late pretty much to everything. Quad says that Mason is controlling her auntie Quad, honey, because he be calling her, asking her where she's at, who she's been with. I think that's the cutest little thing. He's being a little protector. Simone said in the confessional that Quad has been through a lot with the divorce and all that stuff, but that she seems really, really happy. Simone tells Quad about her son's girlfriend, and they start going back and forth about the pronunciation of the girlfriend's name. Andrea, whatever. It was just an okay scene. Toya goes to visit, Contessa goes to visit Toya, and Toya is part of Toya's self-care is to buy herself some flowers since Eugene hasn't been buying her flowers, basically. They're beautiful flowers, so Contessa helps her with the flowers, cutting the stems and things of that nature. Toya tells that Eugene has been hurt by some of the things that Heavenly has said on her YouTube channel about him basically not being a man and acts like a woman, which we know Heavenly got that mouth. She don't think before she says stuff. And then they show, flashbacks and parts of Heavenly's YouTube showing her trashing her friends. Contessa basically tells Toya that she wants to have an intervention, but they both agree that they'll have the intervention. Heavenly will say, "I'm sorry, I was just kidding," but she'll do the same damn thing again because she doesn't mean it when she tells people that stuff. She just doesn't mean it. She really don't give a shit, basically, how people feel. Let's see. Simone calls while they're talking, and then they tell her about the intervention. And so they basically move on to the intervention and Contessa decided that she's going to have it at her house. Dr. Jackie, they show a scene with Dr. Jackie giving us some little education. I'm going to say this wrong, I know, but I'm going to try and pronounce it. Valimentis cord assertion that one of her patients had, where the umbilical cord is not where it needs to be. I'm not a medical professional, so you watched the episode, so you know what it was about. And then she talks about the mortality rate, childbirth mortality rate with African American women and how disparaging that is. So I thought that was real educational and cool. I mean, she stresses the importance of people being an advocate for themselves when they go to the doctor, which is true because I'm always asking questions. And a lot of us don't do that. We feel like the doctors know everything, and that's not true. But let me get off my little soapbox about that. Anila and her husband sit down with the kids with Miss Gomez and let them know that Miss Gomez is leaving. Her son is very concerned about his pinto beans. Who's gonna make his pinto beans? Anila says she could do it. He asking her, "Do you know how?" It ain't gonna be the same as Miss Gomez. We already know that. So Miss Gomez tell them that she loves them very much. They see her off, help her put her bags in the car. The little girl starts crying, and that's pretty much how it ended. So we're back to Toya. Eugene, it's in the morning. Eugene's trying to get the boys up to go to school. He's getting ready to leave. Eugene kind of reflects on the pandemic and how stressful it was, and how, he, as a doctor, he was okay with dealing with death, but that the amount of deaths that he saw really affected him, and I can see how that happens. Toya says that she wants to more time, Toya time, and all this other BS. Because to me, you got all the time in the world, honey. Especially when your sons go to school. You playing tennis and all that stuff. Don't you have enough Toya time? I digress. Eugene talks about how he is no longer a director and but he does additional work. It sounds like as a clinical on the clinical shift to keep the money up. Toya's like, you choose to do that, and he's like, no. And I agree that he doing. I agree with him. He's doing it so you can keep the lifestyle and the persona that you be putting out there. Like, oh God, poor man, poor man. Eugene says he needs a change, so he's feeling a little burned out. He says that a lot of physicians are burned out and they're leaving traditional medicine. Let's see. Oh yeah, so Simone and Cecil meet up with Omarosa, who appears to be a friend of theirs, which I was very surprised. And they tell her about the book. She says she's real excited about the book. She gives them some advice. And they figure she's the best person because I think when she wrote that book about her time at the White House, she got $1 million book deal. Hey, give me $1 million book deal. So I guess she would know. And then Cecil mentions how basically him and Simone has beat the odds because of how they grew up in a single family home and all that stuff. Blah blah blah. All righty, so now we get to the good part. Let's get to the good part. Contessa is the night of the heavenly intervention that goes to shit. Contessa has on a cute pink, is it pink wig? I don't know. It was cute. Apparently, it was from the Heavenly Collection, hunty. So she was trying to, I guess, an olive branch of some sort wearing that wig. Let's see. Simone arrives. Then Toya arrives. They have food. I guess she had food delivered. Toya's not happy that it's Taco Mac. Girl, get over it. Get over it. It's food. You know you're going to eat them wings. Then they start. Oh, yeah. So Contessa shows Toya, and I guess Simone knew about it, the bucket that's in her vestibule when you come into the house. She wants everyone to put their cell phones in the bucket. So, I'm sorry, this is too funny. So Toya is the one answering the door, letting people in, telling them that they need to leave their phone in the bucket. Anila was like, why are we doing that? But she puts it in the bucket. Quad comes. Quad's like, what's going on? Whose phone is this? Where's your phone? She proceeds to leave. Toya goes in the kitchen and be like, yeah, Quad didn't want to leave her phone, so she leaving. Simone and Contessa runs out, tells her to come on in, leave your phone. There is a reason for it. You'll understand it. So then Quad gave in. Jackie shows up. Toya tells her the same thing. Jackie's like, I'm an MD. You a MRS MD. You don't understand. I need to have my phone, basically. So she leaves. Simone runs after her and tells her, we'll just put your phone on the counter. So they all bring the food down to the theater room that she has and set everything up. And then basically Contessa lets all the ladies know who weren't in on it that this is a heavenly intervention to let her know that her YouTube videos are hurtful to her friends, basically. So Heavenly shows up. Contessa's kind of buttering her up. They hug. She's like, oh, yeah, you recognize this wig, blah, blah, blah. Hey, here, have a drink. Just trying to butter her up, right? So they start the movie, which is a compilation of Dr. Heavenly's YouTubes with her talking about her friends. Dr. Heavenly having a good ass time, laughing, shaking her head like she agreed with everything she was saying. Each person she was talking about, you could see that they were offended. I mean, even she was talking about Dr. Jackie and Curtis and all this other stuff. Toya was, I think, was more was hurt as well. I think she showed her emotions and her displeasure of Dr. Heavenly's video than say Anila and Dr. Jackie and even Simone. So she's laughing, and then all of a sudden, the video ends, and Dr. Heavenly's like, "Is that it? Like, Contessa, you couldn't talk to me. You ain't talked to me in 5 months, but you want to show this to everybody." And Contessa was like, showing it to everybody, you showing it to everybody, like, this is you showing this to the world. So they start arguing back and forth. Dr. Heavenly's like, she stand by everything that she said. When I tell you they start arguing, they were arguing to the point where they left the theater room. You could hear them yelling. Dr. Heavenly's trying to hug Contessa. Contessa's like, get off me, get off me. It got a little too physical for me. I don't know what Dr. Heavenly thought her trying to hug was going to do. She lucky that she ain't haul off and hit her. Because we all know Contessa, she looked like she can kick some ass, like for real. So, and Dr. Heavenly ain't going to bust no grape. I don't care if she is from Miami or whatever. She ain't going to bust a grape. But Contessa looked like she can kick some ass. But I digress. So Simone's like, should we go in there and break it up? Dr. Jackie's like, no, they need to take care of that. They need to work through those things. So Jackie, the ladies finally break them apart. They go into different rooms. Jackie tells Dr. Heavenly she needs to stop at this point slinging mud and saying negative things. Simone is like, well, Contessa has talked about all of this herself to the world, and she basically stands by what she said, and that she basically gave her good advice that saved her marriage. So Heavenly thinks that her advice that I'm assuming that she gave on the YouTube channel now saved Contessa's marriage. Hey, she can think that. I don't think so. I think it was the counseling and all that stuff. But that's kind of jacked up that she feels that way. Dr. Heavenly does not take accountability for anything. And I think she's not even taking the time to acknowledge how her friends are feeling and sitting back and saying, well, what if the roles were reversed? I think she needs to think about that. And maybe some of them have YouTube channels that I haven't looked at. I don't even really look at Dr. Heavenly's channels because that voice gets on my nerves. But maybe they've said some things, but I haven't heard anything about that. So as Dr. Heavenly's walking up the stairs, she calls Simone a flip-flopper. You knew that they were setting this up and all this other stuff. And then Heavenly finally leaves. But Contessa's all riled up, crying, talking about she started this. I was expecting her to say, I'm sorry, all this other stuff. It's just a hot A mess. So that's pretty much it for that episode. It was pretty good, especially when they started the intervention. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think. Do you think that Heavenly is wrong? Did you like this episode? Let me know what you think in the comments. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button on this video. Until next time, peace.